robbers I grew up with, yeah. Ay, I grew up with, ay. I grew up with robbers, I grew up with demons, I grew up with heathens, I grew up with thugs. I grew up with dreamers, I grew up with schemers, I grew up with ballers just like Jalen Suggs. Turn into believers, turn them motor readers. I know it's only because Christ who I trust. I seen all these creatures make plan from the bleachers. I only smoke weed, no I never did drugs. Shout out to gangsters for keeping me patient and letting me be who I wasn't the one. Confidently say I'm a kid from the bay, sharing testimony to the day Christ comes. Now what you say, I can tell that you fake, and I do that all by just the rule of my thumb. Just make sure giving more than that you take, cause the fake die old and the good die young. If it didn't happen, you know that it would by the time that it came off the tip of my tongue. My pops made a boss, and shout out to moms for us making sure that the mic break when it's on. And all of my uncles came out for the jungle, they all had a rumble just so they can be. My nana's my nanny, my papa, my mama told me what I do be the best they could see. I grew up with robbers, I grew up with demons, I grew up with heathens, I grew up with thugs. I grew up with dreamers, I grew up with schemers, I grew up with ballers just like Jalen Suggs. Turn into believers, turn them motor readers. I know it's only because Christ who I trust. I seen all these creatures make plan from the bleachers. I only smoke weed, no I never did drugs. I just been rapping, but it hasn't been as much as it should. They just been capping so much that they gotta go knock on some wood. I just been trapping, but not how you think in the ways that I would. Especially if you know where I came from, my last name always gonna be good. If Adonai is the one that's holding me, tell me why I shouldn't give his name praise. When I was a kid, I struggled with caring too much. Nowadays I don't care what they say. I sat there and studied and tried to understand all of the words I was flying at the page. So when I was dancing and singing and rhyming for the Lord, I would shine all over the stage. I grew up with robbers, I grew up with demons, I grew up with heathens, I grew up with thugs. I grew up with dreamers, I grew up with schemers, I grew up with ballers just like Jalen Suggs. None of the believers, turn them all the readers. I know it's only because Christ who I trust. I seen all these creatures make plan from the bleachers. I only smoke weed, no I never did drugs. I feel like a legend when I'm still alive, cause there's people I never thought would show me love. But when they show me here, I know that they hated on him first, so I already knew what it was.